So, when David defeated Goliath, everyone was so surprised. David was also a talented musician, meaning that he could play music very well. A musician is a person who plays musical instruments. Musical instruments are things like guitars, pianos, drums, tambourine, and so on. So David was an expert in playing a musical instrument called harp. Whenever David could play his harp and he could sing, many people were very happy and many people loved David because he had such a wonderful voice. So, at that time, there was a king called King Saul, and King Saul ruled over all Israel. God had anointed King Saul as king, but King Saul disobeyed God, and God said, I will no longer be with King Saul. There was a prophet of God called Prophet Samuel. A prophet is a person who speaks to God and who God speaks to him concerning his people, just like how pastors do in our churches. Prophet Samuel was so sad and he was grieving because of King Saul. And he was saying, Lord, please forgive King Saul. Please forgive King Saul. Please forgive King Saul. Please forgive King Saul. And God said to Prophet Samuel, how long will you cry for King Saul? I have rejected him as king, and I have chosen another person to be king in his place. And that is how we saw in our previous video how Prophet Samuel went and anointed David as king. After this instance, God sent an evil spirit to torment King Saul, and King Saul became mad. King Saul became very angry. King Saul became very disturbed. A mad person is a person who is very sick in his brain. So, the servants of King Saul said, let us look for a person who is a musician so that he can play for you music and he can sing for you, so that when this spirit torments you, you will feel very good. And King Saul sent them. So they went to the village of Jesse and they brought David, because David was a very talented musician. David played the music, and when the demons tormented King Saul felt very good. King Saul felt very good, and he healed, and he became normal. And King Saul loved David from that day. After this, David stood up against Goliath and he killed Goliath, just like how we saw in the story of David and Goliath. If you haven't watched the story of David and Goliath, I suggest you go back now and watch it in this channel. Then come back and go on with the story. After David killing Goliath, the son of King Saul, called Jonathan, was very surprised, and he wondered how David could do this, and he was just as a small boy as he was. Jonathan was also a small boy just like David, and Jonathan loved David because David was strong. Jonathan was also a warrior, and he was also in the army of the king. After David killed Goliath, King Saul took David and he told David that he will stay in his palace and he will not go back home to his father Jesse. And his father Jesse agreed. So King Saul appointed David to be the leader and to lead the army of Israel. Whenever David could go out and fight their enemies, David became victorious. And this made Jonathan to love David. King Saul also loved David. The whole Israelites also loved David. Jesse was very happy. And Jesse said, "Thank you, God of Israel, for being with my son and for making our son change our life." The brothers of David were very happy. Prophet Samuel was very happy because he knew that David was the king, but no one else in Israel knew that David was the king, because when Samuel went to anoint David, no one else knew. It was only the family of Jesse and only God who sent him. Jonathan looked at David, and Jonathan wondered, "How is this boy so perfect?" So he went and told David, "David, how can you do these things so perfectly? You don't even have mistakes. Everything that you do, it is just correct." And David told Jonathan, "Don't worry, Jonathan, God is with me. The God who fought for me is the God who is still fighting for me." And Jonathan also loved God because of this. So, David and Jonathan became best of friends. Whenever Jonathan and David were not busy and they were not in the battlefield, they could go somewhere and play. They could hang around, they could walk, they could do a lot of things together. This made David and Jonathan to love one another, and they became best friends. And they swore and they said that we will be best friends forever. King Saul remembered his promise, and King Saul gave his daughter called Michal. He gave Michal to David as a wife, and David and Michal had a very great wedding. Many people were there, including the family of David, including Jonathan, who was standing there with David when David was marrying his sister Michal. Michal loved David so much, and Michal every day thanked God for giving him David. And David also thanked God for giving him Michal, because David also loved Michal. So one day, David went to the battlefield, and David defeated a whole army of the Philistines. When David was coming back, many of the Israelites were very happy, and they were singing and they were saying, "King Saul has killed thousands, but David has killed tens of thousands." Many people were very happy because of David's success, and now people were not celebrating King Saul, but they were celebrating David. And King Saul became very angry, and King Saul said, "What is this? I am the king. How can this Israelite love another person more than the king?" What will they do next? Will they not go and anoint David as king? So King Saul became very sad, became very angry.